Welcome to the Woman's Hustle, Thrills and Spills of Entrepreneurship, where we keep it real about what it takes to build, grow, and thrive. Here, you'll hear the unfiltered journeys of women entrepreneurs from everywhere. The wins, the setbacks, the lessons, and the behind the scene truths of aligning, starting, and scaling our businesses with purpose. Because let's be real, this road ain't always pretty. From battling self-doubt to juggling responsibilities and facing the pressures to have it all figured out, this hustle can be pretty heavy. That's why this space exists, to fuel you with the motivation, drop strategic gems on the topics that matter most, and remind you you are not in this alone. This is the Woman's Hustle. Welcome back to the Woman's Hustle, Thrills and Spills of Entrepreneurship. It's your girl, Coach K. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Real quick, make sure you have subscribed to the Upgraded MindsetZ YouTube channel. And if you're listening audio-wise, then make sure you have favorited the Woman's Hustle on your streaming platform so you don't miss any upcoming episodes, all right? I'm super excited to vibe out. As you can see, I have a guest with me today. So I'm going to allow her the honor of introducing herself. Hello.
Hi, it's great to be here. And I'm kind of like, I'm not going to lie. First of all, my name's Lynn Harris. Hi. This podcast for me is brought to you by LASIK because I just had that surgery in one eye. So I can see with one eye now. And the other one has a contact lens and it's all very weird. But I'm like not used to looking. I have giant green cat eye glasses that are kind of my trademark. And so I'm like looking at myself thinking like, you look like me and yet you're not me. Like,
hey, well, I am honored to be able to have you stepping out of that zone here at the Woman's Hustle. And if you guys can't tell, she definitely got that jovial, joking spirit. And I am so excited to chat with her today. But I'm also excited for her to vibe with you guys and tell you guys a little bit more about what she does and how she's advocating her way. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, we're going to get into that. So please, Lynn, tell us what you do specifically.
Yeah, I am, just to be clear, I am not here to advocate for cornea surgery, nor am I getting paid to talk about cornea surgery on this program. So when I'm not having eye surgery, I am the founder of a company called Gold Comedy, and we are the comedy school and professional network and content studio where women and non-binary folks and others grow their comedy careers or creative side hustles, become part of a powerful network, and make funny stuff that gets seen on all kinds of stages and screens.
I love it.
So we're really, why comedy? Why did I start a company in my 50s? The short version of the previous decades is that I've always loved comedy. I've been in and around comedy for decades. I was a journalist, won a bunch of awards, wrote a million things, cared most about social justice, in particular gender justice, reproductive justice, all the intersectional stuff about all of that.
Right.
And my brand, even as a journalist, was, I was fortunate enough to work at it for so long that my brand also became figuring out how to use comedy, or at least let's call it appropriate humor, as a delivery system for conversations about difficult issues. And I also used comedy in various ways, direct and indirect, to create, comedy-driven campaigns for human rights, series of comedy-driven fundraisers for key issues, etc. So whether or not I've been on stage holding a mic or in a writer's room or, doing something silly on stage, I've always been working at that pretty cool and busy intersection of comedy and social change. I wanted to make comedy easier for the people for whom it's the hardest. Why comedy? A couple of reasons. One, I love comedy, so I've got a lot to give. And this, I'm experienced in it. This is part of my skill set. Number two, comedy matters. Because comedy is a cultural force.
That's a fact.
Who makes it matters. Who we see doing it matters.
Right.
So day to day, At Gold, we're helping individuals with their careers, which matters because women are people, and it matters because comedy is work. But in the aggregate, what we're really trying to change is, well, when you make people laugh, you make people listen, right?
Yeah.
So what if we can build a world where people listen to people like you and me?
I really love that you really dug into that because it established the level of uniqueness. And I agree, like comedy definitely makes people listen. Comedy turns heads, comedy's got you like the ears perking up, like all of that. I love that you took it to the next step. You really incorporated everything that you've done over the years and just put it in this phenomenal ass ball. And I think that that's just super dope, yo.
Phenomenal ass ball. Yeah, that I'm gonna quote you.
Hey,
That's good.
definitely do that. And throughout the years, like, because I know that, and we'll talk about the advocacy because I think that it's super important because it's a part still of what you do. But you've like changed laws, conversations, like with the campaigns, that you do. Do you have like a secret sauce that you kind of or put in there together when it comes to like designing your advocacy, where you're going with things and what you choose to like advocate about?
To give you some concrete examples, I used to be the VP of communications for a global human rights organization called Breakthrough, that at their heartbeat really was and is culture change and using pop culture tools, what we used to call using culture to change culture. So using pop culture tools to change hearts, minds, and actions around human rights issues, especially in the US. We worked globally, but especially in the US, where we don't even think about human rights in the US. We think about civil rights, which we should, but we don't think about being safe, being safe from gender-based violence as a human right, which it is.
Yeah.
We used like kind of cool, fun animation that got shown at places like NASCAR. Like we got access to a lot of eyeballs, and it's done in this kind of like familiar animation thing. It's not preachy, it's not a lecture. And even if a dude watching it doesn't like immediately turn to someone and call them out, they get that in their head. They're like, maybe I should speak up to Trey the next time, or whatever,
Right.
And so
It
that's
triggers
an
the thought.
example.
Yeah, that it triggers the thought. Like,
Yeah.
I think being intentional in doing that because, we know that we can't change everybody's mind, right? But in a group of 100 people, if we change in 5 minds, hey, that's a win. And that's a mindset shift, right? Because like
And
there's no
we
straight
don't need them all
that
either.
part.
We don't need them all. And we don't even need to sort of, a strategist in any industry will say this. I'm sure that like you don't necessarily need to go for the people who you need to do a 180. You go for the people who are already primed, but just who haven't stepped up, who haven't knocked on a door, who haven't made a call.
Y'all heard that, didn't you? Pause and repeat that part right there. She told y'all. Go ahead.
Yeah. So like it's like it feels exhausting and frankly impossible to be like, I'm gonna go to that person who doesn't believe in my own personal human rights, and with just one joke, I'm gonna transform them. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
But when you kind of create the safe air cover for the people who are already primed to kind of say what they're thinking, and then when they realize and give the courage to this other people around them who then are like, yeah, me too. Then you get what you do is you create a kind of a cultural majority of and that's how you change a norm. And so that's similar with comedy, right? Like when we can just like put more comics who look like you and me, who are not, again, no shade to individuals, but if we put enough, it doesn't even have to be that comics of any type of background, it doesn't even have to be that they talk about social issues, which certainly is a powerful thing because there are some comics who are great at Jenna Friedman is one of them. There's so many who are really great at packaging challenging issues in this comic delivery system, which makes people go but I also see it as like you can do that kind of, you can be part of that kind of change as a comedian. And I realize I feel like I'm talking mostly about stand-up here, but I'm really talking about wherever you see someone in a comedic space
Yeah.
doing comedy things, whether it's sketch or whether they're in a writer's room or whatever, just by showing up, if your audience is typically used to, if mainstream audience is typically used to seeing, and by mainstream I mostly mean white, but whatever,
Right.
they
Yeah.
just had to talk and you had to listen, and that itself is
It's some
transformational.
advocacy. Yeah.
Right. And comedy is one of the few places where that kind of happens, especially in such a joyful, you
Yeah.
know
I think that
easy
that's
to
pretty dope.
receive
Yeah.
place, you know.
How you broke that down, it does make sense because like they may not have to say one word about current climate and current times, but just because you're seeing such a diverse shift in people that are on that stage and people that are, sharing about maybe their cultural family and cracking jokes about those things, like you're getting that experience. And I think that that is definitely something that makes it unique. And I mean, I think that's what you do with Go Comedy. Like you guys have built like a pretty amazing community. It's not just a school, it's really community and
Yeah.
community to be able to allow them to be in a safe space to be able to get on those stages, to not feel worried and scared. That sometimes we have fear, but we work through the fear. And I know that you help them and guide them, with that as well. So it's such a unique way to one, allow people to speak, but two, to be able to put them on the platforms where they are being seen and can make that difference that way. So I think that what you're doing is fucking dope. So let me
Oh,
stop
thanks.
cussing. Let me,
Yeah,
let me stop
but
cussing, y'all. Y'all know I'm trying to be
no,
better
don't
at
stop.
that.
Don't
But
stop. Don't stop. And it's right. It's not just you hit on an important thing, because it's what we really strive to do is, yes, of course, skill building, and yes,
right.
of course, community, which are invaluable, but also making sure they get seen. Like you
Mhm.
can build your skills all day long, and if you're not out there, like you can learn to play guitar at home, but
Yeah,
like when are you going to play guitar?
that's a
And
fact.
so, and we have 2 web series out right now that have super diverse casts. We have one that's streaming
Nice.
on Fox Soul, which is
Nice.
a tributary of Fox, so that's amazing. We have one that's about that cast is diverse, and then we also have a web series called Rat Czar that's about loosely about the real life Rat Czar in New York
Yeah.
City. It's like they have a whole rat pride scene, and
Right.
just like getting that stuff out there is and
Yeah.
it's just, and it's a love letter to New York, and it's all those things, and so we didn't just like give them the skills to create a web
Yeah.
series. They made a web series.
Yeah. Pretty dang creative. I love it. I want to ask you, like, how do you balance like being the CEO and the creative and everything else in between? Because I wouldn't be me if I didn't talk about like our self-awareness, our well-being, and things like that. Because y'all know that's what I do.
Yeah. I'm pretty good at being loosely organized. Like it's in my nature, but I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm not like, here's my magically time blocked bullet
R-
journal with colors. That's
Right.
not me. I'm not a
Yeah.
mess.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be all pretend chaotic. Like
Right.
I
Right.
do, I'm fairly organized, and I guess what I'm good at is thinking ahead.
Mhm.
So that is, I would say, if there's
Right.
any other like quote unquote tip I can give anyone, it's to like, I learned this from someone named Alexis Hasselberger, who's a great time management coach, that plan your next week on Thursday.
Mhm.
It helps you with the Sunday scaries, and it helps you from feeling overwhelmed when you wake up. And you can also, because you can see what you have to do, and you also can see
Yeah.
what you need to cancel. So that's like a great actionable tip.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna lie, because the things, especially when you get to be our age, it's not just the work.
Yeah.
We have, obviously, there, you may have children, and everyone says, "Oh yes, the sandwich generation." No, that's a lot. And I'm like, girl, it's the club sandwich generation, because we have our own shit. Like we have our kids,
Facts.
we have our parents if we're lucky, and then we also have like acne and arthritis. So it's like, what? Come on. And it is like, I wish it was just a sandwich.
Man.
And and we both, my husband and I, and it was a little bit extra because it was all compounded by the pandemic. And we also had another tragic death, which I won't go into. But we lost all 4 parents in 4 years, most with protracted caregiving that we were extra involved in, partly because of the pandemic,
Yeah.
and like, I mean, it was a lot, but we're not unique, and I'm running a business. I do have a founding partner who is great, but she's not involved in the day to day.
Okay.
So just because she has a different life, and
Right.
uh, and so it's been a grind, and I still don't think, as much as I am being totally transparent with you, I still don't think. I think partly because our country is not set up to support families in A, child rearing, or B, elder care. We are left to our own devices. If we happen to have a little money for like an aid or assisted living, lucky us, generational wealth is a privilege. Most
Right.
people don't have that, right? So like, what are we supposed to do? It turns out it's us. It turns out we take, it's, if you're normal people are then taking care of their kids, at least after school, running their business, and then taking care of 1, 2, 3, 4, or maybe even more parents, depending on how many blended families you have, right?
Yeah.
And there is nothing in place to help us, to support us with that is like, actionable day to day.
Right.
Of course there's this, that, and the other thing. Of course there's like the memory care
Yeah.
center around the corner, and sure, I get it, but there's no like overall infrastructure.
Yeah.
But then you can't, if you're running a business, typically you like, well, investors, I struggled this year because my mother-in-law had Alzheimer's and I'm an only child taking care of my dad. But I just wanted to, but what you should be, so therefore, even though we didn't grow as predicted this year, what you should be looking at is my grit.
Yeah.
Said no founder ever. Because they're just like,
No,
what's the,
it's the reality.
and I'm being a little unfair because there are investors who are humane, or at least other people who will, be like, okay, so it's a year of stability or whatever.
Yeah.
But like,
I get what you're saying though. It is like
there's,
the show goes on for a lot of people. Like real life does not stop a lot of people, a lot of organizations from continuing to move forward. So I know exactly what you're talking about. And I think that's where a lot of us do get stuck because we want people to be like, well, just give me time because I got to deal with this, and not saying that there aren't organizations and investors out here that are willing to do that. But I just don't think they're as abundant as those that are like, oh, you not ready? Yeah, moving on. Like we're moving on to the next thing,
right, right.
So I love that. And I appreciate you being transparent about that because this is what the thrills and spills is all about. We don't sugarcoat over here. This is the reality that
No.
we deal with when we are running businesses. So
Yeah.
thank you for, being transparent with
Yeah.
that and sharing that journey. And I just want to say, like, as we get ready to wrap up, because you've given some dope advice already, you know what I'm saying? When it comes to people that are scared to stand out, because what you do, I think this is a great question to ask you. What would you tell entrepreneurs that are afraid to stand out, that feel like that they have something, but they're scared to bring that out? What would you recommend for them to be able to get over that shit? In other words.
Right. Bragging. I was on a Zoom with Shonda Rhimes the other day. Not me personally, a bunch of people in this organization that I'm part of. And this thing that she said really stuck with me. And I'm sure it's not the first time she said it. I don't remember the exact words, but
Yeah.
I'll get it. Find people who make you feel like you. And so I spent a long time like kind of palling around with like bro tech founders being like, hi, I'm the comedy one. And they were like, you're cute. See ya. And I was like, what's wrong with me? And imposter syndrome. I'm like, it's not imposter syndrome. I'm in a room that was not built for me. Those are not my people.
Right.
So like, this is a waste of my time. So it's whether you're, so as a business owner, your customers are the people who make you feel like you, right? If you're a performer, your audience are the people who make you feel like you. And if you're an entrepreneur, your supporters are the people who make you feel like you. Not all of them will be. So if they're not, they're not, And my mom, I remember my late mom always used to say, like, don't change yourself to to
That
do
part.
anything really, except also change your hair color. She did say that, but don't change anything but your hair. So, and yeah, that's what I would say. Like, just if it's not landing, yes, of course you have to get trained in pitching, and yes, of course you have to get trained in understanding your business model. That's just learning. That's not
That's
not
learn
fake
that
you.
part. And that's the difference.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. There's
that's not fake
learning,
you.
but being with your people, like that's
You got to be
definitely a
with your people.
difference. You know, I
Yep.
love that. I love it. And simple but powerful words, and a great way to go ahead and wrap this up, because I tell y'all every episode, you got to do what's aligned with you. You got to be in spaces that are aligned with you. You're not going to catch me in spaces, I don't care what event it is, I don't care what it is. If my energy feel off and it ain't happening for me. And I had to get there. I had to go through the imposter syndrome. I had to go through the moments of questioning what I was doing, why I was doing it. I went through those moments, and won't lie and tell y'all that I probably won't have those moments as I continue to move forward. But the goal is for you to make sure that you are standing on business with what you want, how you want to get it, and make sure that you stay unique to you, because that is what's going to continue to help you elevate in this entrepreneurial journey, baby. I love it, Lynn. You've been such a animated ball of energy. I appreciate you. Let my listeners know where they can find you at.
Sure. Please come visit us at goldcomedy.com. And I will say, by way of of course, it's a sales pitch, but it's also an inspirational speech. And
That's
that
what we're
is,
here for. That's what you're here for. Tell them.
you, for sure, we cater to people who are serious about their comedy careers or their creative side hustles. We have a lot of people who are like not quitting their day jobs. They worked
Right.
hard to get there, but they have like a pilot idea in them that needs to come out, or so like by day they're still an actuary, or by day they're still a medical doctor, whatever, but by night they're cranking out their pilot or whatever it is, right?
Love it.
Or learning sketch, or just, and they're serious. But what I mean is, if you even have like the slightest, tiniest little question mark in your mind about like, I think I'm funny, or I kind of want to try comedy, let me tell you, and I know this from deep experience with hundreds of people, you don't have to be a different kind of person in order to do comedy. You don't have to be more confident. You don't have to be less shy. Lampshade on you. And this is kind of like what Shonda Rhimes was saying, and it is kind of taking who you already are and shaping it and distilling it into its own essence, right? And then just learning some mechanics, which we just said, some stuff you just learn, right? Being with people who reflect it back to you. And so if you are one of those people who's like, I really actually do kind of have an idea for a film, but I don't know what to do with it, or if you're like, I think improv would be a hoot, or whatever.
Yeah.
We have a place for you. And I can tell you what we don't have is any bro vibes. So we just don't. We have like, our community is, mostly women, but still very diverse across gender and everything. But like, it's the vibes that we manage.
Yeah.
There's just no bro vibes, which is different from most other comedy spaces. So it's a safe place for you to come and explore.
I love that.
And it's all online, so you can do it wherever you're at. And I'm going to send Kay a 10% off code also, so that if you want to come and check us out and stay past your free trial, you'll get 10% off.
So if you're listening, it's going to be in those notes. Click that link. Go check out goldcomedy.com. Lynn, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For blessing us with all of your gems. I know I got some listeners that like to be comedic. So, who knows? So I thank y'all so much for tuning in. Let us know what you thought of this episode. Chime in the comments, leave a comment if you're listening on the audio version. Y'all know I appreciate y'all feedback. You are what makes me keep going with the Woman's Hustle, because I know what it's like to be able to start, continue to build, have a thrill, have some spills, but continue to be resilient. So that's what I want you guys to keep on doing. And on that note, stay empowered, baby.